This is going to be a unique tutorial because I'm going to show you a different concept working with characters walking action when they're walking in or walking out. Not only that, but I'm also going to teach you how to animate doors and make them open or close. And by the way, I do have a tutorial that talks about the fundamentals of animating doors in CreateStudio 3. So be sure to check it out. I'm going to leave a link to it on the top right, or you can continue to watch this one and then I'll leave the video on the end screen so you can continue to watch that one and then follow along on my previous tutorial. This will help you understand how to perfectly animate doors and make them open or close. So in this tutorial, I have a lot of tips and tricks to share with you, and we're going to create or put together an animation of a beautiful scene where we have a perfect date with Tom and Linka. Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Ali, and in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to perfectly work with characters walking action when they're walking in or walking out. And we're going to learn more about animating doors. So before we dive deeper into this, I've got an example that I want to share with you. Let's watch it together and then come back, start creating.
I am finally going on a date with my boyfriend. Yay, I shall mark this day and take a selfie. I need to look in the mirror to check my makeup before my boyfriend arrives. Oh, here we go. He just arrived.
Hey Kelly, what's up?
Hey Jonathan, I'm ready and I'm so excited about today.
Yeah? I couldn't be happier. The best day in my life. I will take you to a romantic place you've never been before.
Oh, how cute. This is so exciting.
Shall we?
Let's go.
I hope you enjoyed watching the example. Now, this is going to be a little longer video because I have a lot to share with you. There's so many tips and tricks that I want to teach you in this tutorial because, like I said, this is going to be a unique one. So what I want you to do is I want you to follow along with me so you can go ahead and start opening your CS account, start a new project. I'm going to leave a link in the description below for all the images or all the media files I'm going to use in this project so you can easily follow along with me and start creating and then have fun. And most importantly is the fun part of this project is that I'm going to show you how to make characters interact with those backgrounds and exit and enter scenes. So again, this is going to be a unique tutorial that you're going to love and enjoy. So be sure to open up your CS account, start a new project, and follow along with me so you can learn how to put this together. And you can also go ahead and share your creation in my group. Show me exactly what you can do. And if this was easy for you to follow along, without further ado, let's dive right into creating. So I'm going to start by removing all of this, and then we're going to start from scratch. Our first scene is going to be the background where Linka is in her room preparing to meet her boyfriend so that they can go on a date. And so this is going to be the background that we're going to use. And I have another image for the seat that's right here in front of the mirror that we're going to use also in our project. So I'm going to grab that one also right there, and I'm going to make sure that it goes exactly the same size. By the way, this is a custom mask that I created in order to duplicate the seat image and make it as an additional layer that allows me to put this together, and then we can use it to make the character interact with this image. So I've already done the heavy lifting part for you. You just got to grab the image from the media files and then follow along with me. Once you got this covered, you're gonna go ahead and open up your 3D creator and then grab Linka as your first step. Then it's up to you how you want to design your character. In my case, I already have this saved up into my presets. So I'll just grab the one that we used, and she's going to be right here. Our first step, once we grab our character, is we need to set up our actions, right? So we got to decide exactly what we're going to do in this scene, and then we can take a step and start working with our actions. So Linka's first action is going to be taking a selfie. So I'm going to change that from the action list right here My first action is going to be taking a selfie. I guess it's called selfie in, yep, right there. And then I want to click on add new action to continue to add my other actions. So once she's taken a selfie, we want to have her walk up to the mirror to have a look at her makeup, just make sure that she's looking, great and beautiful. And then she can go and meet with her boyfriend. So we're going to choose her second action, which is going to be walking. And then we're going to need to add another action, and that would be idle while she's looking at the mirror, right? So we're going to go ahead and add another action and call this idle. Then our last action is going to be walking. So we're going to add another action, walking right there. And now we have all our actions set up and ready to go. Next, we want to make sure that we extend all the layers, make sure that they're lined up with our character in the timeline like this, right? And then something that we also going to use as far as the mirror, that I do have an image that's going to go above this layer so that the mirror does not look exactly like this. So I got an image for that already right there that I'm going to use in my scene. Again, this is also going to be part of your media files that you're going to find when you go ahead and check them out in the description below to be able to use them. And from there, you can continue to follow along with me and really just have fun creating this. It's very important that you make sure that the mirror layer is needs to be underneath Linka in the timeline, and also extend it so that it's lined up with the rest of the layers, just like that. When done, this is our time to start, working with keyframes, right? So Linka is going to start by taking a selfie right there, and then she's going to begin walking. Now, what we're looking forward to is we want to make sure that we have our playhead and spot the point where she's about to start walking, right? And from there, we can just simply click on add animation above the timeline. And we're going to use position. Easing is going to be linear for both in and out. And now I do have my keyframes ready to adjust the position of Linka. Next, I want to move or advance my playhead forward in time until I spot where Linka is about to stop walking. So once that is done, you just need to drag the second keyframe to where your playhead is at. Make sure that the keyframe is selected, and then we can simply just drag Linka right in front of the mirror. Don't worry about the seed image, we'll take care of that part, but we would just want to make sure that we have our keyframes set as far as Linka, and then we are good to go. So now once she has gotten there, she needs to start turning to look at in the mirror, right? So at this point, when she's about to turn back, right, we want to have her turn in the right angle. So we got to make sure that our playhead is basically on the middle of the second keyframe of the position animation we just added. We will then go ahead and click on add animation, and then easing is going to be linear. Properties is going to be character view. Now we have two new keyframes for our next animation. So we need to click on the second keyframe and simply just click on rotate, and then we can rotate Linka and just keep her looking into the mirror just like that. So when we go back, let's have a look at that. There you go. She's going to walk up to the mirror, and then she's going to turn to the mirror right there, and she will just, stay there for a couple of seconds. Then she's going to begin walking again. Now, as far as the other or the last walking action, this needs to be extended a little bit more, because she's going to walk a little bit to the left side, and then she's going to walk towards the camera. So we need to extend the walking action at the end just for a couple more seconds or so. And then we want to click on the walk-in button on the character's track to disable the ending animation. So we just need to turn on or switch on the toggle right there, disabling the end animation, so that we have Linka just walk up until the end. Next, we want to make sure that all the layers in the timeline are extended and are lined up with our character right there. And now it is time for us to grab the seat and make it above Linka like that. And here you go. Now you can see Linka is interacting with this background, including the seat image that I created as an additional layer. Next, when she's about to walk right there, so you can see she starts turning in the wrong direction. So we got to make sure that our playhead is on the little square that is between the idle and the walking action. That's basically the beginning of the walking action. Next, we want to select Linka. We will click on add animation above the timeline, and then we will use character view, and we will use easing as linear for both in and out. Next, we want to select our second keyframe. And as you can see, Linka starts to turn in the wrong direction. So we're simply going to click on the rotate icon above the character and then rotate Linka to the right side, just like this. Well, obviously on the canvas, she's turning the other way around, but with your mouse, you're going to drag it to the right side so she can turn in the right angle like that. And then when she's good to go, she's about to begin walking at this point. So we're going to use some keyframes to make her walk a little bit to the left side and then walk up against or towards the camera, right? And so what we're looking forward to is simply click on add animation, where our playhead needs to be on the middle of the second keyframe of the character view that we just created. This is very important. Timing is very important. Now, as far as easing, it's going to be linear. Properties will be position. And there you have it. Now we're going to extend the second keyframe a little bit more, not to the end of the walking action, because we just want her to walk a little bit to the left side, and then she'll walk towards the camera. So it's just about the middle of the action. So we'll select the second keyframe, and then I'm simply going to drag Linka a little bit to the left side like this right here. And then I will add another action so I can make her rotate in the right angle. So what we need to do is simply click on add animation. We're going to use character view. Easing is going to be linear for both in and out. And then as far as the second keyframe, we just need to grab that really close to the first one, just like this, so we can make her rotate really quickly and then begin walking or continue to walk in the right position. Right now, we will click on the rotate icon above the character and rotate her to the right side, just like this. She can face the camera. And then right where we are, we will click on add animation again. Easing is going to be linear. Properties, we will use a couple of properties. These are going to be position and scale. Why are we adding scale? Because Linka is walking towards the camera, means she's getting closer to the camera. Obviously, she needs to be bigger in size. So now we need to select our second keyframe and drag it almost to the end of the action right there. And we will just extend, or not extend actually, just make Linka bigger in size, just like this. And obviously we need to make sure that we have her right there towards or close up to the camera, just like this, as big as that, right? As she's getting closer to the camera. So this is basically the different concept of making characters walking in or out the scene, that they don't need to go to the bottom of our scene, but they will just get closer to the camera. And then we will just add, you know, an additional layer that will just make the scene, we will darken it by using a black rectangle, just as a nice cut between this scene and our upcoming scene. So now we're finished with this scene. Let's just have a look at what that looks like from the very beginning, and then we can continue to have fun. Let's take a look. So now Linka, she starts by taking a selfie. She will then walk up to the mirror, like I said, and then she will turn to the mirror and look into the mirror, and then she will continue to walk, as you can see, quickly just rotating and then walking up against or towards the camera, just like that. So this is as far as how we would like to create in our first scene. Now is the time to group all of this up. And as far as audio or the story itself, as in using text-to-speech or your own voice and creating the narrative for both characters or the dialogue, you can actually, you know, do that on your own. I'd like you to make up your own story, depending on your preference. So I'll leave that up to you, and I'm not gonna use that. And of course, I did use some of the sound effects that are available in the studio to liven the scene or liven the video to make it, you know, better sounding, and it just adds a nice effect when you have sound effects, you know, when it comes to walking, when it comes to taking a selfie using the camera. So we use the shutter effect, right? And all of this stuff. This really adds a lot to the video and make it unique and beautiful, and obviously more engaging to your audience. So now that we got this covered, it's time for us to select all our layers, and we will simply just right click and then group this one, right click again, rename, and then we will call this scene number 1. Now is the time to start creating scene number 2. So we're going to start by, you know, at the very end of the scene, and then we will go and grab our images. Now, as far as the background that we've got right there, this is an image that I was able to cut out the door, as you can see. So we have a transparent placeholder where we're going to place our door and show you how to animate this door, make it open and close. And you can also see that the room or this hall inside the house is empty. So we're going to use other props in this scene to decorate it and make it look more beautiful. I'm just going to extend that, all the way until the end just for now. We will take care of the length as far as how long this scene should be, but after we have everything set up in our scene. So our next step, once we grab our image, we need to get our, I think I'll leave the door until the end, but for now, I will just grab all the other props in this scene. So I will start by grabbing this lamp right here, and then I'm going to position it to the left side, right next to the door on the left side, just like this. And I'm going to make sure that this is also pretty lined up with my background. I'll extend it all the way until the end. And then I have my my pot plant right there where I'm going to grab as well and place that, resize it and place it on the right side or right next to the door on the right side, just like this. And make sure that the layer is also extended and lined up with all other layers in the timeline. Next, there's also going to be a carpet right there that we're going to use. So I'm going to grab that, and then I'm going to double click just to adjust the emptiness in the frame like this by double clicking the image, and then you can adjust the frame by dragging the frame just to take off or to crop the image and take off any unnecessary emptiness. Once you're done, you can easily just work with the image. So I'm going to hold the Alt key on my keyboard, and I'm going to grab it from one of the corners to adjust its size from the center and make it smaller. Then I could just position it right in front of the door from the inside, just like this, and make sure that I extend the layer in the timeline and lined up with all other layers. Next, there's also a bookshelf right there that I have as well. So again, these are just stuff that I found on in Victizi, and this one is available in the studio. But again, I'm going to leave a link to all of this stuff in the description below, so you can go ahead and download all of this stuff and enjoy creating. Again, I've done all the heavy lifting for you. You just got to follow along with me and really just have fun and enjoy creating this scene. And again, I'd love for you to start creating, and I'd love for you to share your stuff in there in my group and show us what you can do. Like, show us the beauty of your experience and how was it for you. Just tell us, how did it go for you? Did you find it easy? Was it not? I mean, just share with us your opinion and tell us exactly what has happened. So now that we got all of this covered, it's time for us to grab the exterior, which is going to show up underneath that image. And I already have that covered as well. So we're going to use this image. As you can see, I just wanted to show you what it looks like first before we make any adjustments to it. And so I'm going to extend it in the timeline right there, make sure it is lined up. And as far as the road right here, I didn't like the color of it because it just, looked weird when I added the image and use it as an exterior underneath the original background. So what I basically did to change the color of that was I simply just grabbed the rectangle by hitting the shift and the letter R to grab a rectangle. And I simply just made sure that I resized the rectangle size like this, and I extended it all the way like that. And all I did really was just, have it in there as the road, and simply just open the color settings using the color picker. And I'll just use the gray right there. So now it just looks more visually more appealing like this. It's just beautiful that way. Next, we want to grab the image also and make sure it is lined up with our layers in the timeline, just like that. And then you can see that we have the image, created and designed. We just need to select our rounded rectangle that we created along with the background, and then we want to group these guys together. Next, we're going to grab the group, which is basically the exterior that we're going to show underneath the image. We're going to grab this and this one and make it underneath all other layers. So basically go underneath the actual background. Why? So that we can show the exterior instead of the transparency. We're just going to use this place. But as you can see, the image is a full width, so we can see a pretty close or a close-up shot of the house that's in front of it. And that doesn't look right. So what we're going to need to do is we want to adjust the size of our image just like this. We're going to resize it and make it smaller. And then with our mouse arrows, we can simply just, make movements like this and drag it either to the left side or the right side, depending on how you want to do this. But for me, I'm just going to drag it a little bit to the left side. Again, I'm using the shift key along with the left arrow key on my keyboard like this, so I can position it right here. So you can see it's looking beautiful so far, and it's so appealing. The distance between the house that's right in front of her house is okay and is more appealing than the previous view. Now is our time to grab Tom before we even add the door, right? So what we're gonna need to do is we go back into the 3D creator, and then we're gonna grab Tom. So Tom is gonna be her boyfriend, and we will choose our preset. Again, it's up to you how you want to design your or dress up your character. It's really up to you. I'm going to leave that up to you, so you can just have fun and in terms of your selection, how you want to dress up Tom, just like you want. And now I already got this, kind of classic clothing right there, so that he can look really classic going on a date. Now, as we said, once we grab our characters, we need to make sure that we have our perfect size, right, in terms of where he's standing and how far he is from the camera. So he's just going to be, sized up like this, and also a little bit towards the right, because we want to bear in mind that there's going to be a door that's going to open up to the left side, right, or from the right side to the left side. So Tom is going to be a little bit towards the right side of the door from the outside like this, right? And then we need to make sure that we set up our actions first. So Tom is going to be idle until Linka opens the door for him. So I will just extend the idle action right there for a little bit, just for now. And then I'm going to add other action. So once she opens up the door, we will go to the action list, click on add new, and then our next action is going to be waving, so that he can say hi, and then we can take it from there. So after saying hi, I will just keep him idle, right? So I'm going to add another action. So I will add idle right there, and then I will add another action, and finally have him walk, right? So we will just choose walking right there, and then we have our list of actions. So we're good to go with that as far as that part. I'm going to worry about extending the actions, or making sure that the layer of Tom is also lined up with the rest of the layers. I'll take care of that later. But now let's go back in adjusting or grabbing our door image and place it on top so that we can close this door. So now I'm going to grab my door right there. And then again, for you don't have to worry about this frame. I'm going to double click and adjust the frame, but you don't have to worry about this, but because I'm going to have it for you in the right or the perfect size. So you don't have to worry about adjusting the frame. You're going to use the image or the door image as is, and then you will just place it where it needs to be right there, and then adjust its size so that you can close the door just like that, and we're good to go. Now, because I want to add some depth to the door, right? And again, I taught you this previously in my tutorial. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to select our door, and I'm going to grab it from the right side and just drag it a little bit to the left side, so I can leave a little bit of emptiness right next to the door right here. And don't worry about that, but we're going to extend the door image in the timeline, make sure it is lined up like this. And now it's time for us to grab the a rectangle layer so that we can use it as an additional one to add some depth to our door. So right now I'm going to click on the shift and the letter R to grab a rectangle, and then I'm going to adjust the size of this rectangle like that, and right here, and then we could just make it a vertical line just to add the depth that we are looking for like this, just to fill in the gap that we just created as far as the door right there, right? You just got to make sure it's perfectly lined up from all directions, up and down, left and right, and all of that. Looks like the image of the door is a little bit higher than it should be, or taller than it should be, like this. And so we're good to go. Next, we want to select our rounded rectangle, and then we're going to open up our color settings, and we will choose the color picker. Use any of the colors available on the door, but don't worry, because we're going to make this a little bit darker like this, so darker green to add depth to the door. And as you can see, this is how it looks like. Next, we want to extend the layer of our rounded rectangle that we created, and simply select our rounded rectangle along with the door image, right click, and then group these guys, and then we can rename and then call this one door right there. Now, once we're done, we are good to go. So before we start animating our door, making the door open, we need to go and grab Linka, right? So that she can walk up to the door just to open the door for Tom. So again, as far as design, I'm going to use the same one. Again, up to you how you want to dress up Linka. And once we got that covered, we are going to use or select our actions. So she's going to begin walking up towards the door and then open up the door for Tom. So here is the workaround. And I want you to think about it this way, that because I've seen a lot of people talk about the limitation of the software, but I really don't want you to worry about that, because if all you focus on is just the limitation of the software, then you will never find your way out. If you are someone who is open-minded in terms of thinking outside the box and trying out different ways or methods of creating or designing your scenes, you're always going to keep trying and trying and trying until you figure out a way or a workaround to make it work for you. And so this is exactly the one example that I'm going to use as a workaround in terms of Linka when she's going to open up the door, because we don't have any action that is suitable to make her look like she's opening the door. The only action I found that is so helpful at this point is showing the phone. So she's gonna like hold up the phone, show it as if she's showing the phone to somebody, and that would be the action that we're going to use to make Linka open up the door to make it look, perfectly okay. And it's okay because, sometimes we may be holding our phone in our hands, and then do stuff while we're holding the phone. So that's totally okay. If she's gonna open the door while she's holding it, then no problem. I mean, that's not really an issue. And think about it. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a cartoon video anyway. So it doesn't always have to be 100% realistic, right? All right, now let's just continue to create and then have fun. So like I said, her first action is going to be walking. So I'm going to change that from the action list and I'll choose walking right there. And it's very important that we disable the starting animation for the first action. So I'm going to click on where it says walking button on the character's track in the timeline to open up the little panel. And then I'm going to disable or toggle this on so I can disable the starting animation. Next, we want to add other actions. So once she walks up to the door, we will need to add another action. And then this will be the one that we're going to use. Like I said, it's going to be showing phone. So let's just find that from the list, showing phone right there. And then we will add another action, and that would be idle. So we're going to go back and then click on idle. We will then add another action, and that would be waving. So she could wave back or say hi back to Tom when he says hi right there. And then we will add another action, and that would be walking. So that will be another tip that I'm going to show you how to make Linka get out of the house or walk outside the door, right? And have the door close when she's gone, right? This is going to be an amazing tutorial. I promise you're going to enjoy it if you're following along with me step by step. So like I said, the last action is going to be walking, right? So here we go. We got to make sure that we set up our character. So we're going to click on Linka. We're going to click on rotate above the character, and we're going to rotate her to the left side so she can be looking towards the door. And then this is how she's going to start. So she's going to start as big as that, like this, right? Again, this is a different concept where you're going to have your character walk from close by the camera, yet still inside our scene. Like she's not going to start anywhere outside the scene where we usually do it by having characters show up or start from the right side, bottom or top, or even left outside the scene. But this time we're going to use a different way of making characters start walking right from within or inside the scene, right? And so this is how she's going to look like. Now it is time for us to make sure that she's actually kind of like looking exactly at the door, like walking in the right angle. And then when you're happy, now is the time for us to start keyframing this. So she's going to be walking. I mean, the distance is not that long, but bearing in mind the perspective, like she's so big and she's going to get a little bit smaller in size as she walks up to the door. We need to extend the walking action just a little bit, right? And then we can start by creating some keyframes. So we're going to click on add animation. We will use position, scale. As far as easing is going to be linear for both in and out. And now we have our two keyframes. All we're going to do is we're going to drag or advance our playhead forward in time right until the spot. Don't worry about Tom. We can see Tom's hand right there, but I'll take care of that. This was so fun to me. All right, so it looks funny. So yeah, let's just make sure that we have advanced our playhead until the spot where she finishes walking, or right before she turns. That's where, or when and where we should drag our keyframe to where our playhead is at. Make sure the keyframe is selected, and then we're going to resize Linka like this and just grab her really close to the door like that, right here, like this. And let's take a look at that. Okay, so she's now gonna start holding up the phone. So that would be the action I'm gonna use. And I'm gonna time this up while the door is being opened to look like she is opening the door while she's holding her mobile, right? And that would be the fun part that I love doing, is to try and find out a workaround and not really just feel like I'm stuck. You know, the software is pretty limited. I can't do this. I can't do that. You know, I really hate those who keep saying this and focus on the negative side of it instead of trying to work around it, because I want you to know that there's nothing that is perfect in this world, right? There's no software that is perfect for everything. So it's totally okay that every software comes with a little bit of limitation, but you got to find your way out. Because if you're always stuck and focused on the negative side of it, you're never going to do anything. I mean, you're never going to get out of your feelings or your thoughts focusing on just the negative side of it. So yeah, let's just continue to work and create our animation. Now you can see once she finishes walking, she's going to start by turning to the left side. So we want to keep her, you know, looking at the door. So in order to do that, we need to have her playhead on the middle of the second keyframe. We will then select our character, click on add animation, and we will use easing as linear. Properties is going to be a character view. Now we will select our second keyframe, and I'm just going to click on the rotate above the character. Make sure that she's going to be looking at the door just like this. And let's have a look. All right, so see, all right, let's take a look. It looks like I need to have her, you know, I'm sorry. Oops, click on rotate again like this, and then rotate the character like this, so that when she holds the phone, I'm going to make this happen really quickly so it's not 100% noticeable that she's actually picking up her mobile, but really just opening up the door, right? And so at this point is where we're going to start animating the door. So basically at the end or the second keyframe of the character view that we just created, now it's time for us to select the door image. And now I'm going to show you how to open up this door. So in order to do that, we will select our door, click on add animation above the timeline. We're going to use position, scale, rotation, and distortion. Easing is going to be, let's keep it smooth as is, no problem. I will then select my second keyframe, and then I'm going to go to my right panel, and I'll click on where it says properties. And I'm going to start making adjustments to the rotation on the Y axis. So I'm going to change the degree from 0, or the value from 0 degrees to -78, and then hit enter. Now the door is open. So the next thing I want to do is I want to drag the door with my keyboard. I'm going to hold the shift key and then the left arrow key. Then I can drag my door. Oops. Okay, let's just make sure. All right. And then now I'm going to grab my door a little bit to the left side. Make sure it is perfectly lined up like this. And now I'm going to click on the distortion icon that shows above the door, just like I showed you in my previous video. If you haven't, again, I'll leave a link to it so you can, watch that and learn how to do this. So once again, we're going to click on the distortion feature, and then we're going to adjust the door from the top left and the bottom left like this and make it, perfectly lined up inside the door frame, just like this, right there. And we are good to go. Oh, oops, almost there. Just one more adjustment and we're good to go. So now the door has, is completely open. So here's what would happen, right? Right. At this point, Linka is still holding her mobile. So this is basically where we time things up. So we got to make sure that we select Linka back again, right? And then we're going to click on add animation. Easing is going to be smooth, just like the one that we use on the door. As far as properties, this will be character view. I will then select my second keyframe and simply just click and rotate so I can grab Linka to the left side just like this, like that, right? There you go. And then she's going to hold back. So right there, once the door, opens up, we want to make Linka look back at Tom, right? So at this point where the second keyframe is at, we're going to click on add animation again. We're going to click on character view. Easing is going to be linear. And then I'm going to drag or get my second keyframe a little bit closer to the first one right there. And I'm going to click on rotate and just have Linka look back at Tom just like this. And this will happen really quickly. So let's just take a look and see what that looks like first of all. There you go. All right. Okay. Now we need to shorten the action a little more. So this is basically where we fine tune our animation. So that's fine. We can adjust the showing phone action and then drag it to the left side. So we can make this really happen quickly. So if we go back, take a look at that, right? There you go. All right, let's just keep adjusting it like this. Go back and then watch it. And that's basically how I did it, right? It just, worked out like this. Let's take a look. There you go. All right. By the way, when using the camera zooming at this point, this will, give you the illusion that she did not really use the phone to open the door. She was just like holding it from the beginning already. And she just opened the door and then she put it back into her pocket and start waving to Tom to say hello, and then they can go out together on a date. Yeah, so there you go. Let's have a play one more time. All right, we're good to go. Next. All right, so he says hello. I want to make sure that Tom is actually looking at her because he doesn't seem like it. So we're going to click on Tom, click on the rotate, and then I'm going to rotate and make sure he is looking at her just like this. And then, yeah, here, good to go. So he's just going to say hi. Again, we just need to make sure that Tom is a little bit to the left side. So we're gonna drag him a little bit to the left side so his hand does not get out of frame, right? Like that. Cool. All right. The one thing that I want to take care of actually is make sure that we let's say grab the group of the exterior that we just created. And then as far as everything else, as in the background and all the props that we used, we can right click and then group these guys. And then I can actually have Tom go between the background and the exterior image in the timeline. This way, it'll look perfect no matter what happens. His hands are going to show up because he's still waiting outside. So this will be the right order for the layers. Now let's continue to work with that. And now she needs to say hello, right? So she's going to say, take a look. All right. Okay. It looks like I need to switch between the actions. So wave, right? I'm going to grab wave above idle so we can rearrange the order of that right there. So after she opens the door, she will just say hi, right? They will just talk for a little bit. So I'm going to keep him idle. So we'll extend his idle action right there. Make sure that their idle actions for both of them are exactly lined up. They both end, at the same time. So they don't have to be starting at the same time because his idle action is a little longer, but for her, it's just a shorter one, which is totally okay because at the time he was just waving, he was saying hello. She also says hello. And then they talk for a bit and then they both start leaving. So as far as Tom, this is what we're going to need to do. We will just make Tom, walk to the left side. So once he starts walking, and he's already kind of in the right direction, that's fine. I will just find a spot where he's about to begin walking right there. And then I will select Tom, and I'm going to click on Add Animation. I will do easing as linear. Properties is going to be position. And then I'm going to click on the character, the walking action for Tom, just to be able to disable the ending animation and drag the second keyframe all the way until the end, and simply just use my keyboard with the left arrow key to grab Tom to the left side just like this, and he's good to go. So if I go back and then press play, now he's good to go. So as far as Linka, when she begins walking, we need to make sure that she's walking in the right angle. So once again, at the very beginning of the action, so where the little square is at, we're going to select Linka, click on the add animation button above the timeline, And we will use character view. Easing is going to be linear for both in and out. And then we're going to select our second keyframe and simply click on rotate. Make sure she's in the right angle, just like this, ready to walk outside the house right there. And then she's going to begin walking. So we need to we'll have our playhead in the middle of that second keyframe. Select Linka still, click on add animation. We will use easing as linear. Properties is going to be position and scale. And then I'm going to drag the second keyframe. I'm not going to take that one until the end because she's only going to walk up a little bit outside the door, and then she's going to walk to the left side. So again, we're going to have this, make this halfway through like this. So I can just get Linka outside and then grab her, make her a little bit smaller like this right there. Here you go. And then I'm going to add another action. So not another action, I'm sorry, another keyframe. So while we're there on the second keyframe, add animation, we're going to add another position animation, right? So we're going to do position. Easing is going to be linear for both. Then I'm going to drag my second keyframe until the end. Again, we need to make sure that we turn off or disable the ending animation for her so that she continues to continue to walk until the end. Next, select our second keyframe. And with our keyboard, we're going to drag Linka to the left side. Don't worry, she's still showing up on the scene. I can see that, all right? I know that, but we're going to take care of that part once we are done so we can create our mask. So we're good to go with that as far as that part. Here's where we're going to create our mask so we can, make Linka disappear once she walks out of this door, right? So what's going to happen is that where she's right outside the door right there, we're going to add a rectangle shape. So we're going to grab a rectangle like this. We're going to make it full width, and then I'm going to drag it from the left side right here. And I simply just want to make sure it is perfectly lined up with the door from the left side, just like this right there, right? And now I'm going to make sure that this guy is pretty lined up with the layers in here. And I'm going to right click and rename this one and call it mask for Linka, for example, right? Like this. Okay, and then next I want to select Linka, right? Go to settings on the right panel, find where it says track matte. So this is where we're going to use our track matte, add some masks. Click that, open the drop down menu, and then we're going to choose mask for Linka. Then we will turn or switch between the type from Luma to Alpha like that. And now when Linka walks to the left side, you will notice that she starts, like she's going to disappear like that. So this is the perfect way of creating a mask, making characters interact, right? Let's have a look. Okay. It's very important, by the way. This is something that I also forgot while working on my actual project, that you need to make sure your mask starts from the very beginning, because otherwise, if the mask layer is not extended, as you can see, Linka is not visible on our scene. So just for you not to get surprised, make sure that your mask layer that we just created is extended and actually start from the beginning until the end, right? So once that is done, she's just going to get out of the room like this. And once she's gone, that will be the spot where we're going to close, or when we're going to close the door again. So we're going to select our door. We're going to click on add animation. And then we're going to go to, or choose easing as smooth. Properties is going to be position, scale, rotation, and distortion. And then go back and work with our keyframes. So now I'm going to select my second keyframe. And the first thing I want to do is I'm going to go to the right panel, find where it says properties, or click on the properties tab. And then I'm going to change the value on the y-axis from -78 angle to 0 angle, like this. And drag our door back to the right side inside the frame. And don't forget to click on the distortion feature to distort the image of our door, just to close it perfectly and then make it look appealing and perfectly closed up just like that. And we're good to go. So let's have a look at that. Perfectly good to go. Here we go. She's walking up the door. She will then open up and then finally drop that. So at this point, like I said, if you want to create that illusion, what you want to do while she's opening the door, I want you to make a quick zoom on the upper part of her body. So basically, use the frame from her upper part of her body, or just like the top half of her body, all the way up, right? This will give you the illusion, just like in my example, that it's gonna look like she wasn't actually grabbing her mobile to open up the door, but it's gonna look like she was already like holding it. And again, it's just a quick action, so it's not really noticeable. It's still gonna look okay. Why? Because the overall experience is just amazing. So who would really complain about this specific part, unless this person is is a nitpicky person, but hoping that there aren't people who are like that are going to watch our videos. But yeah, this is just a quick action, and then let's just continue to watch. All right, so they say hello to each other, and then they would just talk for a bit and then walk outside like this. And there you have it. Now the door is going to close, and this will be it. So again, this will be how easy you can create or put together a scene like this, where you can just have fun with keyframes and masks and make characters enter and exit the room, just like I showed you. And the different concept working with characters walking action in or out, that they shouldn't start, outside or offset our scene, right? They can start right from inside our scene, right? In any direction. They can start by, having them in a close-up shot where they're really close to the camera and they're just walking away from it, and they get smaller in size as they walk away. So you just got to change the way in terms of how you create your animation, so you can have various directions and various types of animations than sticking to one concept and keep using it all the time. Over time, this will be a little bit boring. So we don't want to do that. So I really hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you liked it, be sure to subscribe, like, and leave me a comment below, and let me know what your thoughts are and what you're looking forward to see in our upcoming tutorial. And until then, I thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.